Hi everyone, thank you for viewing this video. The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to find articles and other sources using EBSCO databases. In particular, this video will focus on Academic Search Ultimate. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get to the library site. So there are a few different ways that you can do that. The first way is if you are in a Department of Research course, then if you click on modules and go to that class, then you can go to the important course information, which is usually at the top of the modules area. And there's an option right here that just says Saybrook Library. You can click on that to get to the site. Another way is if you go to the intranet page, then you can click on library resources. And I'll go ahead and do that right now. So if you have any questions about library resources, then you can ask your instructor, or you can also talk to the librarian. Noah, he's pictured over here on the right-hand side, and it lists email me, and there's also a phone number. So feel free to contact Noah with any questions that you have. So this is the Saybrook University Library site. You'll notice that this is the main page. Welcome is the tab that's clicked right now. There are quick links listed for you to have. There is a welcome section with some helpful guides included here. There's a resource spotlight, and down below then there is a list of new books. So if you want to check out what new books have been added, you can look there. There are a few other tabs up here. There are tabs that are library databases, which is the one we're going to click on in just a minute. Then there's a tab for writing and citing. So if you need any help with writing papers, citing your sources, you'll notice RefWorks is listed here. It's a great resource for managing all of your citations. And there are a lot of other useful resources on this page as well. There's a tab called News that just gives news from the library. And then there's a Contact Us tab. And again, that gives you Noah's contact information. So if we go back in here to the library databases tab, then you will see several different options. So over here on the left-hand side, you'll see index to full text. And that means if you have a citation from maybe a references page that you found, or maybe you found a citation in a textbook, or an instructor has given you one, that the person, or you, whatever article you want to find, then you can actually click on index to full text, and it will help you know if one of our databases at Saybrook has that particular source for you to view. So it's a really helpful tool. And there's another video that's available for you to know how to use index to full text. So if you want to view it, then it will be available to you as well. Down below, then you will see this DOI resolver. Again, if you have a DOI, which is a digital object identifier, then that's kind of like identifies the article. And if you just have the DOI, then it will give you the rest of the information for the article for you to use. On the right-hand side over here are a few other options. For instance, this Google Scholar search is really helpful. If you want to search for a topic, you can actually type it in here, click search, and then Google Scholar will open up. And with Google Scholar, it includes a lot of different resources, just like it says. So it's a little different than just a regular Google search, because it's supposed to have more scholarly sources, such as journal articles. There are other sources included in Google Scholar, such as so there are some book links, and there are also some educational sites and things like that that are included. So just be aware that it's not all just journal articles when you search there. Then you'll see the main area includes all of the databases and other subscribed digital tools. We have articles clicked right now, so you'll see all of the article databases are listed in alphabetical order. There are other options as well. There's article request, ebooks, book loan request, reference. That means reference sources like encyclopedias and things like that. Dissertations, there's a database there that's called ProQuest Dissertations and Theses, which is very helpful, and it's the main one if you're wanting to look at those sorts of things. There's one that's tests and measurements. Again, if you're looking for a test or measurement, those are those databases that you definitely want to go to. But if not, and you're looking more for just regular journal articles and things, then I would recommend sticking with this big long article list here. There's a link for videos, and then, as I said, the other option you have is to scroll down. If you're not sure what database to use, there are little descriptions here, and you can read those to figure out what is included in each database. Also, feel free to, again, ask your instructor, ask a librarian if either one of them has suggestions for you. So as I mentioned, then we are going to be using Academic Search Ultimate. So it is an EBSCO database. You'll see that in parentheses behind it. A lot of our databases are from EBSCO or from ProQuest. Those are two of the big vendors. So the EBSCO databases will be the focus in this video. And as I said, in particular, this Academic Search Ultimate. And one thing that is really, really helpful is that Academic Search Ultimate includes all kinds of articles. So there are journal articles that are more scholarly, and a lot of them are peer-reviewed. And then there are also different kinds of periodical articles like newspapers and magazines and things like that in there. So just make sure you're aware that Academic Search Ultimate is not just all journal articles. There are several other articles too. So let's go ahead and click on Academic Search Ultimate. And then let me go ahead and sign in real quick. Again, if you see this screen, you're just going to use your credentials that you have with Saybrook, and it will take us into the database. So here is the database. You'll notice EBSCO host is included right here. That's how we know who that vendor is. We are searching in particular in Academic Search Ultimate. Again, in green here, it will tell you which database you're in, because otherwise these EBSCO databases have the same interface. So if you get a little bit confused as to where you're at, then you can look here. And Academic Search Ultimate, as I was saying, is just a really good general database. It's a great place to start your research because it has, it's very interdisciplinary. So if you're not sure about which subject specific database to use, then you can always start with Academic Search Ultimate and see what you can find on your topic. The other thing I like about it is these are more general sources, but again, I always recommend that you go to the web first, do a simple Google search to get some basic background information on your topic before you come into these databases. The reason for that, there are a few different reasons. One, some of these journal articles can be very difficult to read at first if you haven't gotten a basic background information on your topic. Also, if you're not sure what you want to study, then sometimes doing a Google search can help you see what has been studied before, so it can help guide you in developing your research question and your topic more. Also, if you're not sure what keywords you want to use, Google's a bit more forgiving as far as typing in a question or a sentence or a lot of words, whereas these databases want you to really focus on your keywords. You need to really focus on what are the main words of my particular topic. And as you'll see here, there are 3 different search bars listed. So again, you're going to want to pick out those main subject terms or those main keywords to stick in these boxes. You're not just going to want to put a lot of words in here. So again, this has a lot of different articles, so let's go ahead and just see what we get. I'm going to go ahead and just type in nutrition in this first box. Again, very broad for now, and then, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific, and I'm going to add case study in this second box. Now, this time, you'll notice I just picked out a couple of different terms, and then I have and selected in between. And is a Boolean operator is what it's called. And there are a few different options that you can choose here. There's and or not. What and does, it narrows your search down. So I want articles on both nutrition and I want case study to be included somewhere in that record. If I chose or, it would be I want this or that. So it's going to broaden my search results. I use or sometimes if I have synonyms or words that are the same. If I want to put them all kind of in the same list together, then I will separate with or if I'm not sure what I want to use yet for a term, but I know there are a couple of different terms that might be used in the field, then that's when I would use or. So notice that if I didn't include and with anything else, then I would only be getting nutrition articles. But once I added the and in, now I want nutrition articles that also include the word case study. Now know that just because I have case study in here, that doesn't mean everything's going to be a case study. It doesn't narrow down in that way. Instead, it just looks for the words case study somewhere in that article or somewhere in the article's record. So let's go ahead and click search. And this is again just kind of a basic search, or basic way to start out. And then what I can do is I can come down here a little ways and see that I'm getting over 2,800 articles. So that's a lot to look through. So if I don't want to be quite as broad, one thing I could do is, because case study, there are two words, I can make it what's called a phrase search by adding quotation marks. The reason I might do that is because I want to keep case and study together. I don't want case to be maybe on the first line and study to be on the last line. I want those two words to be in that order right there together when I'm searching. So let's go ahead and do that. Not that that's going to change the results a whole lot, but just let's see. So we went from about 2,800 articles to now 2,300. So it narrowed it a little bit. So we can do that to narrow down a phrase or, like I said, a couple words that you want to keep together. Now, if I scroll down in this list a little bit, then there are a lot of other options. So on the left-hand side, I can narrow or limit to just full text. So some of these articles in this particular database do not have all full text. Sometimes you have to click on this check for full text. And if you click on that, then that will help you to know whether another database that Saybrook has that article included or not. If it doesn't, then you still can request the article through interlibrary loan and maybe get it. But otherwise, if you need articles right now, say you have a project that's due and you don't have time to wait for that article request, then you can click full text. But just know that a lot of our other databases will have these articles. So if you click on full text, you're going to be limiting yourself from the databases that might have these articles if you click check for full text. There are other options over here on the left as well. If you want to limit to just scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles, you can click this box here. And just to show you, most of these that are showing up, because case studies included, I'm sure that most of the ones showing up are academic journal articles. But notice that there are a few magazines and a few newspapers, conference papers, trade publications. There are several different types of sources that you will get in this particular database. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the scholarly peer reviewed, because say I don't care about the magazines or any of that, then again, this is another way we can narrow our search. So we had over 2,300, didn't get rid of a whole lot of articles because now we're a little over 2,200. But again, if we just want to get rid of some of that, we can. Another way that we can limit our results is we can look at the date. A lot of instructors want you to narrow down to the last 5 years. Sometimes they'll let you narrow to the last 10 years. So what we could do is we can either type in the number here, or we can use this bar and just slide it over. We'll just say from 2016 to 2021. And then we get, again, now our list is down to 932 results. So there are reasons that you don't want to narrow down by date, but for this particular instance, I went ahead and just showed you how you can keep narrowing down. But some reasons you might not want to narrow down in your search by date is because if you're looking at a historical context, then you want to look at those articles from the past on your topic and maybe see how something has changed over time. Maybe a term has changed over time, a definition, the view of a topic. Then you don't really necessarily want to narrow to the last 5 years if you're wanting to see more of the historical context. Also, if you're trying to find articles that someone wrote, that someone has written, then you might not want to narrow down because maybe someone wrote an article 10 years ago and then they wrote one last year. So again, if you narrow to the last 5 years, you'll be missing that particular author's all their works. Another reason would be is that there are what's called seminal articles in each field or each topic. And seminal articles mean the ones that everyone in the field cites and everyone knows about for that particular topic. So if you narrow down again, maybe if something's been written 50 years ago, for instance, you may miss out on that seminal article. But even if you look through the most recent articles in the literature review section, oftentimes you will see that those seminal articles are given, and then maybe you'll want to go find that one later. So sometimes it's not all bad to search for the most recent because you can still look in that lit review and see what's included. So one other thing I want to point out to you on this particular search results page is these are organized by date newest, and as opposed to relevancy, which usually we're used to more of a relevancy ranking. So if you want to change from date newest, you can change to relevance. So if you want the newest results, then you can leave it if you're wanting to see what's been published most recently on your topic. But otherwise, you're welcome to click on relevance and then get a, again, it just reorganizes your list for you. My topic is so broad with just using nutrition as my main term. I would want to add something else, I think, down in here just to be a little bit more specific. But like I said, I'm just using this as an example for you to see how to go about searching. So now after that, then what I could do is I can click on any of these articles that I might want to read. And the other thing I could do is if I'm thinking about just gathering keywords at this point, rather than finding articles, I can look at these subject headings and see what is listed in that section of several of these different articles. Like here's one, maybe I wanted to look at food habits or health or things like that. And then I might want to keep a list of all the different search terms or these subject headings of what the databases are calling things. That way, then I know how I might want to narrow down my focus as well. So if I look through this list, let's just click on an article so you can see what one looks like. I'll just click on this number 3 right here. And here is this article. We have our title, the author. If there's more than one author, they'll all be listed. The source, so you can see the journal, the date it was published, the volume, the issue, the page numbers. All of that citing information is given right here. Right below, you'll see those subject terms. These you can click on if they're blue like this, but otherwise if they're not, you can either click on them, but then your search will just be for that particular topic. So you might need, again, add in some more search terms in those boxes. The other thing you can do is just write down these terms in a list and then add them and create your own search. Now you'll notice that this one is in bold. The reason it is because it's one of our search terms that we started with up here with nutrition. So that's why it's included in bold down here. And you'll see study is also in bold down through this section, because again, it was included as one of our search terms. So down below, there are also some author supplied keywords. Again, those are some other ways that you might want to find some more keywords to try. And then you're given the abstract or just kind of the summary of the article. I always recommend reviewing that abstract to see, is this going to be relevant for my topic or not? And if it's not, then maybe I just want to go back to the search results and keep searching. But if it's something that might be interesting to you, even if it's not relevant for this topic, you can always add it to kind of another folder or another pile so you can view it later. But again, I think some students have the trouble that they want to get anything that looks interesting rather than things that are relevant for this immediate topic. So I always recommend kind of having two separate piles, so to speak, or two separate folders, however you want to think about it. One for what's relevant for my immediate topic, and one that's just kind of serendipitous of topics that I might want to be interested in or articles I might want to read later. On this right-hand side, you'll notice that there are some options listed. Now, one in particular that I want to show you is this one that says add to folder. If you click on add to folder, it's going to add it to this folder at the top of the page. Now know that this folder will be here for this session, but it's going to ask you to set up an account in EBSCO. You can set up a free EBSCO account, and you'll see sign in right here. And then that way, again, you'll have your folders set up in this particular database. But know that you'll need to set up the account if you try to save anything, because otherwise it won't be here later. So it's important that either you set up an account or at least make sure you keep a good record of anything that you've viewed while you're searching. Down below, there are print and email options. You've got the option to save the article, all those things to keep a hold of it for later. There's a cite button. If you want to click on the cite button, then you can scroll down to whatever format you're using. For most classes, I assume it's probably APA 7th. So again, here's your citation. You can copy and paste that into a Word document. Be careful if you do that though. Some students don't keep the formatting of everything, so sometimes you'll lose your italics, things like that. So be careful you're checking to make sure that everything still looks the same. I also always recommend that you check to make sure that everything looks correct. Sometimes these aren't 100% perfect. Sometimes you'll find the whole title is in capital letters. This one isn't that way, but sometimes you'll see that. Other times you'll notice that something's been left out or whatever, but again, they're pretty good. So I definitely recommend that you take a look at those. And this one even has a hanging indent included. Some of the databases that cite don't always include the hanging indent, but this one does. Again, if you keep that source citing information, then it will be helpful for you when you're writing your papers. You can also export the citation if you're using a citation management, like I mentioned that RefWorks earlier. You can actually export that citation in to save it later if that's the way that you prefer to store your citations. And then finally, the last one I want to point out is this permalink. If you click on permalink, there's a link included here that you can copy and paste again into whatever your keeping notes on. And if you save that, then it will come directly back into this article. If you try to use this link that's at the top of the page, a lot of times it's session specific. So it will come back and it'll say, no article was found or nothing was available or whatever. So make sure you don't save the URL at the top of the page. Click on the permalink and then save this one. Okay, now you're probably thinking, well, this is all great and wonderful, Sarah, but where is the article? That's what I really want. That's over here on the left-hand side, PDF full text. Sometimes it will list HTML full text. Other times you'll see PDF full text. Sometimes you'll see both options. I recommend the PDF one because it is more like the scanned in copy from the journal. So it includes page numbers and all of that. And sometimes those HTML ones don't, and that makes them a little bit harder to cite. So again, here's this particular article. All that citing information is up here at the top, not in a format, but you will have the option to see the journal article, the volume, the issue, all that kind of stuff. That abstract's up here at the top, some of those keywords that the author supplied right below, and then we start the article. So you can start reading through and you'll notice objectives of the study. That isn't listed on every article, but it's helpful to see that if it is included. This is a research article, so you'll notice there's a method section, which is standard for ones that are studies. And then down below that, there's a results section, and then there should be some sort of discussion or suggestions for further research, those kinds of sections. I always look at if someone does include suggestions for further research, I like to look at those sections to give me an idea of what I might want to search for, or what I might want to write an article about, or a paper on, or a dissertation, or whatever I'm writing, that for future ideas. So that's a good place to go to find ideas for other papers. You'll notice that there's a references section at the bottom. Again, those are this author's all the works that they cited in their paper, so you can see those are listed. Sometimes they're an APA, sometimes they're not, but again, you'll be able to tell what the title is of the article, and you can find those articles fairly easily using that index to full text that I showed you on the library databases page. But if you haven't done it before, again, ask for help, and we can, your instructors, librarians, whoever, can help you with knowing about how to find these particular articles if you're interested in one of these titles that you see. Okay, so that's a little bit about searching in EBSCO. I'm going to go back in and go ahead and do another search. I could click new search and it will take me just to the main page again with kind of a blank starting over, or I can just come back up here to the top, and this time I'm going to try qualitative instead of case study, just for something a little different, and click search. Again, we've got over 3,500 articles. All of my limiters, meaning this scholarly peer reviewed and the dates and all of that, should remain the same because I didn't click new search. If I click new search, it cancels kind of everything out and you're starting over again. But if you come back up here at the top and type in your search terms, then it kind of keeps going from there. So this Academic Search Ultimate is just one database in this EBSCO platform. And so if I was looking through the results and I thought, well, you know, this looks good, but I'd like to see what else is out there, then one thing that you can do is you can come up here at the top and click choose databases, and then you can actually click to select all, or you can go through and choose the ones that you want. If you're not sure which ones to choose, again, you can select all and then just click OK, and then click search again. It looks the same again because they're all EBSCO ones. And now I had like over 3,000, I think, just a minute ago. Now I've got over 38,000. So you see how much broader you can be when you add in all these other databases. If you've got already 3,000 results, I don't necessarily recommend that you do this, but if you're only getting, you know, 2 or 3 or something like that in Academic Search Ultimate, that's when you might want to go back in and start playing around with your terms, or you might want to choose all of the databases. Now, if again, the search results list looks the same as far as all your options are concerned, and so you can go through and see, look at all these journals and magazines and all of that included. One thing that I like to do is come down here to the bottom of the left where it says database, and it says where it's pulling those particular articles from. So if I want to look at which databases are the best for this topic, then I will see CINAHLs listed and Medlines listed, and then like we searched, Academic Search Ultimates listed. So again, if we want to figure out which particular databases might be helpful for this topic and just focus on those, we can do that. We can also click show more, and again, we can see all the ones that have articles in them from EBSCO, but that's only from EBSCO. Know that, that's only EBSCO. It doesn't include all the ProQuest and all of those other ones. So again, it's one of those situations that you've got to figure out where you want to go. The last couple of options I want to point out are, again, I mentioned this new search at the top. There is, let me go back into just doing Academic Search Ultimate again, because there's one other thing I should have shown earlier, which is that you can click on just to have the subject terms. And if I was to do that, again, if I'm not sure what I want to type in that search bar, I'm just going to do nutrition since I did that earlier, and then I can click browse. If it's in blue, as I mentioned, we can click on it, and then it gives you kind of a scope note that tells you how they're defining your term. And then it gives us broader terms and narrower terms, and it gives us, sorry for all the scrolling, it gives related terms and how it's used for, and it gives you all kinds of different ways of how to think about your topics. If you were thinking, man, nutrition's too broad, then you can start looking at this list to figure out how I might want to narrow down that topic. Okay, so again, just to mention through, you can get to Academic Search Ultimate either through that intranet page and click on the library, or if you're in a Department of Research class, again in that top section, you can click on the library there. And then if you are on the library site, click on Library Databases and scroll down in the list, Academic Search Ultimate. Go ahead and click on it, and there you are, and you're back to the starting page of where we were at for you to type in your own search terms. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's what we're all here to help you. And thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.